Welcome back to our channel, where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. Prince William bans Camilla's family for stealing Catherine's inheritance, a royal heirloom, a sacred memory, and a line that must never be crossed. In the gilded world of the British royal family, where every gesture is scrutinized under the relentless magnifying glass of the media and the public, a small crack can trigger a seismic earthquake. It is a lesson the Windsors have learned over centuries, etched in the annals of romantic scandals and shadowy power struggles. And in the summer of 2025, as King Charles III attempts to solidify a reign born from years of turmoil, what began as a private personal incident would become the spark for a profound and silent revolution. When Catherine, the Princess of Wales, discovered that her sapphire brooch, a deeply symbolic gift from Prince William following their wedding, had mysteriously vanished, no one could have imagined that this single moment would set off a quiet storm behind the sealed doors of Kensington Palace. There was no sign of intrusion, no broken locks, and the state-of-the-art security system was untouched. Only a select few had access to the private vault where the jewel was kept, and among them was Queen Camilla. Camilla, the woman who had fought through decades of public scrutiny to earn her place in the royal family, now stood at a fragile crossroads to defend her family's honor or confront a memory that was never truly hers to begin with. The dilemma became an impossible crisis when the world discovered that the person wearing that very brooch was none other than her own granddaughter, Lola Parker Bowles. For Prince William, still carrying the unhealed wound of losing his mother. Princess Diana, this was more than a theft. It was a desecration. He now faced one of the most painful choices of his life: preserve the fragile peace within the family, or protect the sacred legacy his mother left behind. A confrontation was quietly unfolding, not between political factions but among people who once called each other family. And this time, forgiveness might no longer have a seat at the table. This is not merely a story about a missing piece of jewelry. It is a story about the undying memory of Princess Diana, an icon of purity and tragedy, clashing with the fragile position of Queen Camilla, the woman once infamously labeled the third person in a royal marriage. It is a scandal that would expose old wounds, test the loyalty of a king, and ultimately affirm the ascendant power of Prince William the heir, apparent as he prepares to forge a new era where there is no room for the mistakes of the past. It all began with a single sapphire brooch. The empty velvet Edinburgh, the ancient capital of Scotland with its grey stone castles and cobblestone streets, was gearing up to welcome a royal event. The cool summer air, carrying a salty breeze from the North Sea, seemed to evoke the enduring strength of the land itself. Catherine, Princess of Wales, was preparing for her upcoming public visit, a multi-day tour scheduled to begin in a few days. With her glossy brown hair, a warm smile that could disarm the most cynical critic, and an elegant style that masterfully blended tradition with modernity, Kate had become the symbol of the new royalty, approachable, dutiful, and impeccably composed. This trip was not just ceremonial. It was a chance for her to champion her signature causes, particularly mental health support for children, a field she had poured her heart into, stemming from a desire to shield the younger generation from the kind of emotional harm that had plagued the royals before them. But before her departure, in the sanctuary of her private dressing room at Kensington Palace, the sprawling apartment she and William called home, its ancient walls holding centuries of secrets, an unexpected incident turned the atmosphere tense. Kate was checking the items for her trip, a meticulous habit she maintained before every official outing. She opened a glossy mahogany box secured with a discreet electronic code where her most precious personal jewelry was stored. Inside, nestled on beds of dark blue velvet, were gifts from William, heirlooms from the Middleton family, and pieces that powerfully evoked the memory of Princess Diana. Among them, or rather where one of them should have been, was an empty space. It was the space reserved for the sapphire brooch William had given her in 2011, shortly after their wedding. The sapphire brooch, or more precisely Prince Albert's sapphire brooch, was a historic piece dating back to the 19th century. It was a special gift Prince William had personally chosen for Kate from the royal collection after their grand wedding at Westminster Abbey. With its magnificent deep blue salon sapphire at the center, framed by 12 delicate sparkling diamonds, the brooch was not just an object of immense beauty. It carried profound meaning, directly recalling the famous sapphire engagement ring that had once belonged to his mother. When William selected this brooch, he was making a statement. He wanted Kate to carry on his mother's legacy not just in her style and beauty, but also in her compassion, her connection to the people, and her resilience. Originally crafted for Queen Victoria by her beloved Prince Albert on the eve of their wedding in 1840, the brooch had been passed down through generations. Kate had worn it on several significant occasions, most notably during the announcement of her pregnancy with Prince George in 2012, a moment that had the world cheering for the continuation of the Windsor line. For Kate, the brooch was more than jewelry. It was a talisman. It was a symbol of her love for William, a tangible link to the mother-in-law she never met, and a silent promise to protect their family from the ghosts of the past, especially the wounds tied to the controversies that had once shaken the monarchy to its core. And now that brooch was gone. Kate stood frozen, her heart pounding like a drum against her ribs. A cold mix of anxiety and a slow-burning anger rose from deep within. She was not a woman given to easy displays of emotion. Her public persona was one of unshakable calm, a sturdy wall in the face of any media storm. But now her warm brown eyes darkened, and her hands, usually so steady, trembled slightly as they hovered over the empty space in the box. "This can't be," she whispered, her voice faltering in the profound quiet of the room. This was not a publicly displayed crown jewel, though it could be borrowed for official events. It belonged to her personal collection, stored in a secure archive within their private residence at Kensington Palace, accessible only to a handful of trusted individuals, the head butler, her closest aides, and certain high-ranking family members. Kate immediately summoned the butler, Mr. Alfreds, a dignified middle-aged man with over 2 decades of royal service, who had witnessed everything from Charles and Diana's tumultuous marriage to the somber days following Queen Elizabeth II's death. He bowed low, his voice trembling with professional worry. "Your Royal Highness, I have checked the archive log immediately. No one has signed out that item in at least the past 6 months. The security system is functioning normally. The surveillance cameras show no unusual activity." Mr. Alfreds paused, a bead of sweat forming on his forehead, as if he were blaming himself for the oversight. Kate nodded, maintaining her outward calm, but inside a vague and deeply unsettling suspicion began to form, spreading like ink on paper. She quietly ordered a full internal review, demanding that her security team go deeper. Hidden cameras installed for just such a contingency were to be reviewed, electronic access logs cross-referenced, and even the detailed schedules of family members and staff who had been in the palace were to be examined. The security team worked with urgent discretion, analyzing every bit of data. The initial results surprised Kate and heightened her concern. No signs of an external break-in, no traces of a cyber hack on the electronic locks, no official borrowing records. But one small detail almost overlooked in the massive pile of data caught the eye of a junior analyst. Queen Camilla had visited the private archive wing a few weeks prior. The visit was noted as viewing historic jewelry for a charity project related to royal heritage preservation. Camilla Parker Bowles, now Queen Camilla, the woman at the epicenter of one of the fiercest royal controversies in modern history, is now wife to King Charles III. The relationship between Kate and Camilla had always been polite, a carefully constructed facade of cordiality. But the shadow of Diana and the memory of old controversies meant it was never truly comfortable. Kate did not speak of her suspicion aloud. She was not one for melodrama. Instead, she handled things with the discreet, logical precision that had seen her navigate years of public pressure. That afternoon, she told William about the missing brooch, her voice laced with a worry she could not completely hide. "William, the sapphire brooch you gave me, it's not in the box anymore." William frowned, his blue eyes flashing with an immediate alertness. "Are you sure who could have possibly taken it?" That night, lying beside William in their cozy bedroom, the ancient fireplace casting long shadows on the walls, she whispered her deeper fear. "I feel like someone is testing us, William. That brooch. It's not just an object. It's part of our history. It's part of your mother." William, his face now a stern mask, his blue eyes gleaming with a cold determination, held his wife tight. "We will find out," he promised, his voice low and hard. "And if anyone has dared to touch what is yours, what is tied to my mother's memory, they will pay the price. This monarchy has no more room for underhanded games." A tense silence began to build a ticking time bomb in the heart of the palace, signaling a larger conflict where power would be redefined and old secrets would be dragged kicking and screaming into the light. The Instagram Inferno. Just one day after Kate discovered the brooch was missing the world of social media, a digital minefield where the royals must always tread with extreme caution, provided the undeniable evidence that would push the incident into a far more dramatic and public arena. In an era where every moment can be captured and disseminated at lightning speed, the British royals had learned to monitor platforms like Instagram X, formerly Twitter and TikTok, with a dedicated vigilance. But sometimes the most damaging leaks come from those closest to the flame. Lola Parker Bowles. Camilla's 17-year-old granddaughter from her first marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles was a young woman living a lavish life seemingly insulated by privilege. Unwittingly, or perhaps deliberately, she was about to become the center of the storm. Lola, daughter of Tom Parker Bowles and his ex-wife Sarah, had once been an adorable 3-year-old flower girl at William and Kate's 2011 wedding. Now she was a product of the indulgent embrace of an aristocratic family, her personal Instagram account, a curated gallery of glamorous travel photos parties at exclusive London clubs, and an endless parade of designer outfits. She represented a younger, freer, but often reckless generation on the fringes of royalty. The shocking photo was not posted on Lola's own account, but on that of her best friend, a girl named Sophie, the daughter of a wealthy tech entrepreneur. It was taken at a small private party at a friend's townhouse in London's upscale Mayfair district. In the photo, Lola smiled radiantly, her golden hair cascading over her shoulders. She wore a chic, mysterious black cocktail dress by Alexander McQueen. And there, pinned to her chest, gleaming under the camera's flash, was the sapphire brooch. It was identical to Kate's with its deep blue sapphire and exquisite diamond border. The photo spread with astonishing speed, not just because Lola was indirectly royal through her grandmother, but because of the brooch's stunning appearance. Keen-eyed followers from devoted royal fans to sharp fashion bloggers began commenting furiously. "Wait! That looks just like Princess Catherine's Prince Albert sapphire brooch. Is that a replica, or is Lola Parker Bowles wearing a royal heirloom to a party OMG? Drama incoming. Lola, far from being discreet, did not ask for the photo to be taken down. She even liked some of the more complimentary comments, such as "You look like a real princess," and "That brooch is fire," displaying a naive confidence that bordered on arrogance. In the royal world, where every action is dissected under a microscope, this was a fatal mistake, an act that could escalate a private matter into an international scandal. Kate's dedicated media team, a group of tech-savvy young aides working 24/7 to protect the Wales's image, was alerted immediately via an internal monitoring app. Kate was in Edinburgh in the middle of a charity event with a group of schoolchildren, her face a picture of warmth and engagement. But the urgent flagged message made her pause mid-meeting. Excusing herself, she retreated to a private corner to check her phone. "Your Royal Highness, we have spotted a photo on Instagram. The brooch. It appears to be identical. Link attached." Kate viewed the image. Her heart tightened in her chest. It was not just similar. It was exactly the same. She did not react publicly. That was not her style. She had long ago mastered the art of restraint, knowing that a public reaction would only fuel the fire. Instead, she forwarded the image to the Royal Jewelry Archive team at Windsor Castle, requesting an urgent, detailed verification. The experts, some of the top jewelers in Britain who had worked on items dating back to Queen Victoria's era, worked through the night. They analyzed high-resolution versions of the photo using 3D software to compare the setting, the cut of the diamonds, the specific hue of the sapphire under simulated UV light, and even the placement of a tiny, almost invisible laser-etched serial number on the clasp. The conclusion arrived in a secure digital file at dawn. It was unequivocal. This is the missing brooch. It is not a copy. It is the original. Unique identifying features, including a microscopic scratch on the lower right diamond setting sustained during the 2019 Scotland tour, are a 100% match. Comparison images are attached. In the late hours of the night at Kensington Palace, William was in his private office reading through documents for an environmental project. The desk lamp cast a warm glow over plans for forest conservation. The quiet of the palace was broken by a video call from Kate in Edinburgh. Her face appeared on the screen, etched with a rare and visible worry. She got straight to the point, her voice trembling but firm. "William, I just got word from the media team. They found a photo on Instagram from a party. It's Lola Parker Bowles, Camilla's granddaughter. In the photo, she's wearing my sapphire brooch, the one you gave me." William looked up from his papers, his blue eyes instantly alert. He gripped the pen in his hand so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Are you certain, Catherine, that brooch? It's my mother's legacy." He finished, his voice a low growl. Kate nodded, sharing her screen so William could see the image for himself. Lola, in her black cocktail dress, smiling brightly with the brooch gleaming on her chest. The deep blue sapphire, so reminiscent of Diana's engagement ring, was unmistakable. William clenched his fist, a surge of cold anger rising like a storm tide. He recalled the subtle ways Camilla had tried to insert Lola into more prominent family events, as if to assert the place of her own lineage within the Windsor dynasty. This felt like the culmination of that effort, a brazen, disrespectful act. "If this is real," he whispered, his voice now filled with a chilling resolve, "there will be no cover-up. Not for anyone. Not even for my father's wife." Kate's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but her voice was strong as she spoke through the screen. "I don't want a scandal that harms the monarchy, William, but I cannot let them think they can touch what is ours, what is sacred to us, without consequence. This is about protecting our future. It's about protecting your mother's memory." The confrontation at Clarence House. The next morning. Clarence House, the historic London residence of King Charles and Queen Camilla, became the site of the tensest internal meeting the family had seen in years. Its long, echoing corridors and granite walls had witnessed countless royal secrets, but this felt different. This was not a public or ceremonial gathering. William had arranged it with discreet precision, inviting only those directly involved, Camilla, Lola, and Kate, who had cut her Edinburgh visit short and returned overnight. 2 neutral legal aides from the royal household were also present, chosen for their objectivity and experience in handling sensitive internal matters. King Charles was conspicuously absent. He was at Balmoral, the family's peaceful estate in the Scottish Highlands, on a pre-scheduled period of rest, a retreat from the daily pressures of the crown. The closed meeting room, adorned with ancient paintings of conquering kings and royal hunts, was filled with a stifling atmosphere as heavy and oppressive as a London winter fog. The light from a grand crystal chandelier shone down on the glossy mahogany table, but it could not dispel the shadow of suspicion that hung over them all. William dressed in a dark gray suit with a blue tie. A subtle nod to the colors so often associated with his mother sat at the head of the table. His face was stern but composed. He began his voice echoing with a clarity that was sharp like a blade, honed by years of preparation for his future role. "We are here not to argue or to cast blame blindly," he stated, "but to resolve a serious issue with logic and fairness. The sapphire brooch in question holds deep personal significance for the Princess of Wales. It is not part of the official royal archive available for general loan, and the princess has never gifted or loaned it without explicit permission. It vanished from a secure location without any paperwork, security logs, or explanation. And now it has appeared on your granddaughter's chest in a public social media photo for the entire world to see." His words carried no overt emotion, but everyone in the room felt their weight and implicit accusation built on a foundation of irrefutable evidence. Lola Parker Bowles, the 17-year-old with the glossy golden hair, sat silently beside Camilla. Her face was as pale as paper, her eyes fixed on the ancient oak floorboards. The once adorable flower girl was now wilting under the immense pressure of the palace. She seemed to shrink in her chair, her hands clutching the edge of her skirt, her expression a mixture of fear and dawning regret. Camilla, elegant in a pale beige silk ensemble and a pearl necklace symbols of her hard-won queenly status, listened without immediate interruption. But a flicker of defiance flashed in her eyes, the protective instinct of a lioness defending her cub. Kate sat beside William, her expression as neutral as ever, a polite, almost imperceptible smile playing on her lips, hiding the deep well of pain inside. But her hands were clenched into tight fists under the table, her nails digging into her palms, a rare private sign of the betrayal. She felt a violation of something she held most sacred. William continued laying out his terms with the clear, unwavering authority of a future king. His voice was firm and uncompromising. "First, Lola will return the brooch immediately with a legal receipt of transfer to ensure complete transparency and prevent any future misunderstandings. Second, Lola will issue a formal written apology to the Princess of Wales. This is not for the sake of royal honor or public image, but for the basic principles of honesty and respect, values this monarchy must uphold if it is to endure." He paused, his gaze locking directly onto Camilla's, awaiting her response. Camilla stood up abruptly, her face flushing a deep, angry red. Her voice trembled, a cocktail of fury and hurt. "Are you insulting me, William? Are you forcing my granddaughter to apologize for what might be an innocent mistake, for a piece that could simply be a cheap replica? Or did Catherine perhaps misremember lending it? Or does she simply believe that anything that evokes Diana is so untouchable that no one else in this family is allowed to even look at it?" Her words struck William's oldest and deepest wound, the memory of his mother, Diana, and the woman who had been accused of destroying his parents' marriage, causing years of pain and separation. The atmosphere in the room suddenly intensified, crackling with tension like a bomb about to detonate. The two legal aides sat frozen, diligently taking notes, their eyes averted. William's jaw clenched, and for a moment a rare flash of raw anger lit his eyes. But he maintained an astonishing level of calm, his voice remaining steady. "I am not accusing you of theft, Camilla. But you are covering for wrongdoing, and that is unacceptable in this family. If you refuse to cooperate, the consequences will not be limited to words. They will affect your position within this monarchy." It was then that Kate interjected, her voice gentle but firm, like a cool stream in a hot desert. "This isn't about the past or about Princess Diana," she said, looking at Camilla. "This is about the present and the future. Your granddaughter took something that was not hers. We simply need to resolve this to protect the trust between us all." Furious, Camilla stormed out of the room without another word, decisively pulling a stunned Lola along with her. The heavy oak door slammed shut behind them, the sound exploding through the silent halls of Clarence house, leaving a heavy, unresolved atmosphere in its wake. William turned to Kate, pulling her into a protective embrace. He whispered with grim resolve, "They will regret challenging us." The witness. 2 days later, the Prince of Wales's office at Kensington Palace received an unexpected handwritten letter. It was sent from a quiet suburban London address, a peaceful neighborhood of red brick houses and lush gardens. The letter was penned in a neat, slightly youthful script on simple stationery, enclosed in a standard stamped envelope. There was nothing remarkable about it except for its contents. The words inside were surprisingly mature, belying the writer's age. My name is Ellie. I am 17 years old. I was at that party in Mayfair. I know that brooch is not Lola's. Ellie, a girl who had once been Lola's classmate at a prestigious private school in Surrey, an institution where the children of nobility and wealthy entrepreneurs are sent for grooming, had decided to come forward as a witness. In her letter, she recounted a history of being bullied by Lola at school, malicious pranks mockery of her family's more modest background compared to Lola's aristocratic lineage and social exclusion. Those wounds still lingered, but what motivated Ellie was not revenge, but a simple sense of right and wrong. She had overheard a conversation at the Mayfair party. Lola, her voice full of pride and arrogance, was boasting to a small circle of friends. My grandmother had her aide bring me the brooch, Ellie recalled Lola saying. Grandma said it's the one Kate wore when she announced she was pregnant with George. I'll be the first person outside of the family to wear it. And I look even better in it. William read the letter with Kate in their private study at Kensington, a cozy room with shelves full of books on the environment and charity work, its walls adorned with cherished family photos. He frowned, a mixture of emotions surging through him, surprise anger at the confirmation of deceit, and a profound admiration for the young woman's bravery. A 17-year-old girl with more integrity than some adults in this family, he murmured. She is teaching us a lesson about justice. Kate nodded, her eyes glistening with emotion, but her expression was resolute. I don't want to drag a child into this scandal, William. But if this is true, we have a duty to protect the truth and ensure that wrongdoing is not covered up. They decided to invite Ellie to Kensington Palace immediately under the strictest security and with the utmost discretion to avoid any media risk or potential interference from Camilla's side. At the meeting, Ellie trembled as she entered the private drawing room, her wide eyes full of a nervous awe, but sparkling with a quiet determination. She was a small warrior facing the giant edifice of the palace. Dressed simply in jeans and a sweater, her voice shook slightly as she recounted the details of the conversation she had overheard. I don't want her to be punished harshly or for anything terrible to happen to her, Ellie explained, her voice gaining strength. But I don't think it's right for people to believe that taking things is okay just because you're rich or your grandmother is the queen. Lola bullied me a lot at school, but I still think she could be a better person if she was taught right from wrong. William listened intently, deeply touched by her courage. He smiled reassuringly. Thank you, Ellie. You have done the right thing, and we will ensure you are protected. Kate, her maternal instincts taking over, gave the girl a warm, brief hug. You are a very brave young woman, she whispered. The monarchy owes you its thanks. With this testimony, the situation was no longer ambiguous. The evidence was as clear as day, now supported by an unexpected and unimpeachable witness. William prepared for the next decisive step, his heart steeled with the determination to protect his family, his mother's legacy, and the very integrity of the crown he would one day wear. The Edict of Silence. On July 5, 2025, after fully verifying Ellie's testimony through legal experts who cross-referenced every word with the existing evidence, William called no further meetings. He did not confront Camilla or Lola again. He had no need for more excuses or explanations. This was the moment for action, swift, decisive, and absolute. It was the act of a leader asserting his power, proving that the next generation of the monarchy would not tolerate the underhanded games of the past. In his private office at Kensington Palace, the walls covered in maps of conservation projects and photos of his smiling children, William signed a directive. His voice was calm as he handed the sealed document to an aide. It is time, he said, to set clear boundaries. An internal access ban was issued as a Level 1 confidential directive, a measure rarely used within the royal household reserved for individuals who have committed an unauthorized infringement on the symbolic property or private spaces of the heir's family. It was a tool for the most serious cases of security threats or breaches of trust. Lola Parker Bowles was added to the Dark Control list, a digitally stored internal roster. Her name now signified exclusion. She was barred from entering any spaces directly managed by the Prince and Princess of Wales's office, including their home at Kensington Palace and the grounds of Windsor Castle. Any personal invitations to social events, whether originating from Clarence House Sandringham or any other royal location, would be automatically rejected by the Wales's office without explanation. Furthermore, any attempt at contact with the heir's immediate family members, whether by phone, email, or social media, would be strictly monitored by security, with daily reports sent directly to William. Camilla received no official document, a deliberate choice to avoid a public confrontation and keep the matter internal. She learned of the edict through her closest aide. The aide reported that the Kensington Palace events secretary had politely declined to include Lola on the guest list for an upcoming garden festival, citing personal reasons on behalf of the prince and princess. Camilla was sitting in her private drawing room at Clarence House, holding her favorite cup of Earl Grey tea. She froze for a full 5 seconds, her eyes wide with disbelief as if her heart had stopped. Then, in an explosive rage that seemed to erupt from a long-suppressed volcano, she hurled a silver-framed photo from the mantelpiece, a picture of her with Charles and William from the previous Christmas, all of them smiling brightly, to the floor. The glass shattered, the sound echoing through the silent, opulent halls. "He's done it," she seethed, her voice a ragged whisper. "He has banned the child from the palace. He wants to erase our entire family from the monarchy as if we never existed." No one responded. The aide stood in silent, fearful deference. Courtiers averted their eyes. Even Charles at Balmoral did not call immediately. But within Clarence House, a quiet exodus began. Several secretaries and junior staff members discreetly requested transfers, sensing the approaching storm. The atmosphere grew stifling, with whispers of a seismic power shift spreading like a cold breeze. From Kensington, William walked with Kate in their private garden, where roses bloomed under the gentle summer sun. "This is for you," he said softly, "for my mother's memory, and for the future of George, Charlotte, and Louis." Kate nodded, her heart touched, and squeezed his hand. "You did the right thing, William. We cannot allow old wounds to keep poisoning the monarchy." A silent decision had changed everything. It had not only excluded Lola, but had drawn an invisible, indelible line between the generations. It was an act of justice that required no grand words, only resolute, unyielding action. Still, there but not really. The fallout was swift and devastatingly quiet. The day after the ban was enacted, Camilla abruptly left a meeting with Charles at Balmoral, a session intended to discuss their joint charity projects. She departed without explanation, leaving only a scribbled note for her secretary, the handwriting trembling with fury and despair. "If Lola is not considered family, then I have nothing left to oversee here." She retreated to her private rooms at Clarence House, her heart filled with a profound sense of pain and betrayal, as if all her years of fighting for royal acceptance had shattered in an instant. Over the next 2 days, Camilla canceled her entire public schedule. She refused to appear at 3 major community events, including an art exhibition opening in London, and 2 meetings with charities she had long patronized. She ordered the doors to the west wing of Clarence House, a space once used for warm, lively family receptions with her grandchildren, to be locked. It was now a symbol of her self-imposed isolation. A close aide, Her voice, full of sympathy, recounted the situation to a trusted courtier. She doesn't cry publicly, not a single tear in front of anyone. But she has lost control of her emotions in private. There are trembling fits, sleepless nights, and long moments where she just stares out the window with empty eyes. She has withdrawn not because she sees the fault in Lola's actions, but because she feels utterly betrayed by the one person she once saw as a stepson, William, with whom she had tried for years to build a relationship. Charles, upon hearing the full account, via a secure video call from Balmoral, did not object or strongly defend his wife. His voice was weary, tinged with the regret of a king watching his reign falter before it had truly begun. William has made his decision, he said, and he has his reasons. I told her once long ago, do not touch his mother's memory. That is forbidden territory. She did not listen, and now the consequences have come. Camilla was realizing the bitterest truth of her life. No one was banishing her from the monarchy with direct words or a public decree, but every door was silently closing. She sat alone in the private garden of Clarence house. As a cool wind rustled through the rose bushes, she had once tended herself, her heart hollow with loneliness. I've lost everything, she whispered to herself, tears finally rolling down her cheeks, the first time she had allowed such a weakness since the harshest days of public criticism over her relationship with Charles. The once resilient queen was being pushed into the shadows, not by a grand conspiracy, but by her own choices, a stark reminder that in the world of royalty, some memories can never be infringed upon without a price. On July 7, 2025, the official photograph of the British royal family for the anniversary of the National Youth Foundation was released. It created a buzz not just in the UK, but globally. In the vibrant, sun-drenched frame, Prince William stood at the center, exuding confidence and leadership. Beside him was Princess Catherine, the picture of familiar elegance, her glossy brown hair catching the light, her blue outfit a symbol of hope. Their three children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, stood close, their young faces bright and radiant, representing the unblemished future of the Windsor dynasty. Also featured were Princess Anne, King Charles's steadfast sister, and Prince Edward with his wife Sophie, the quiet, diligent members who consistently support the monarchy's community efforts. They were all smiling, captured in a lush Windsor garden, symbolizing a new generation, dynamic, connected, and approachable. What was most striking about the photograph was who was missing. There was no trace of Queen Camilla, the woman who had once symbolized perseverance and change. Nor was there any sign of King Charles III. Buckingham Palace's official reason, stated in a brief press release, was deliberately bland. The program is arranged by the active working group accompanying youth, focusing on the members directly involved in youth support projects. The media and the public did not buy it. The explanation was too vague, too calculated to be anything other than a cover for a much bigger truth. The international press erupted. The Guardian Queen, Camilla absent, a sign of a silent shift in royal power. The Daily Mail, Lola scandal, William takes control as Charles stays silent. CNN, Camilla isolated. The invisible line has been drawn in the House of Windsor. On social media, the reaction was explosive. A new phrase emerged and spread like wildfire. Still there, but not really. It quickly began trending on Instagram, and TikTok, shared millions of times in a matter of hours. William is staging a silent revolution. Finally, someone is standing up for Diana's legacy. Camilla has finally been sidelined. The monarchy needs freshness, not old scandals. Still there, but not really, is the perfect description for her role now. Royal influencers dissected the photo, pointing out how Camilla's absence created a symbolic void, and how Kate, with her serene smile, now appeared to be the undisputed matriarch leading the family forward. The hashtag became a cultural symbol of the shift, complete with sharp, humorous memes of Camilla being photoshopped out of old royal photos with the caption, "Still there, but not really." Clarence house sank into a terrifying silence. A day later, two of Camilla's senior communications aides pillars in the campaign to build her image as a dedicated charity queen resigned. There was no public farewell. Their replacements were not announced. Her office fell into a state of paralysis. Meetings were postponed indefinitely, and her charity projects slowed to a crawl, as if the entire machine had lost its engine. A veteran Windsor courtier who had served under Queen Elizabeth II commented anonymously to the British press, his voice heavy with experience. "No one in the modern history of this family has been detached from core activities without a public demotion. But the Queen is now in that zone, a gray area of loneliness where the title remains, but the influence has vanished." At a reception at Oxford University, William, when asked by a journalist how he handles family crises, offered a single calm sentence that reverberated like a verdict. "There are times," he said, his voice warm but firm, "when you must be silent so that others may hear your actions." That evening, the lights of Clarence house shone as brightly as ever, its crystal chandeliers sparkling through the windows. But the West Wing rooms remained dark and tightly shut, a fortress under siege from within. Camilla sat alone in her small library, a handwritten letter from Charles on the table before her. It contained just 2 lines in his familiar script. "I am sorry, but this time I cannot stand by you." She held the letter, her hands trembling. Loneliness surged like a cold wave. She was not officially dethroned. She remained Queen Consort, the wife of King Charles III. But she had been dethroned from the heart of the family and from the trust of the public, a silent but brutal exclusion. Lola Parker Bowles faced no criminal charges, but she was permanently ousted from the royal ecosystem, her name erased from any future of legacy or belonging. Prince William had staged no public coup, but with one discreet, powerful decision, he had redrawn the map of the monarchy. A new order was established, one where the young lead Diana's memory is fiercely protected, and the mistakes of the past are no longer tolerated. And Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who had demanded no public apology, was the one who had subtly steered the monarchy's new course through her quiet credibility and principled silence. She continued her charity work, her smile as radiant as ever. But inside, she knew we protected our family. And that is all that matters. Somewhere in the gilded cage of Clarence house, Camilla remained the king's wife living in a splendid palace. But in the eyes of the world, she was no longer a queen in practice, just a fading shadow, a part of a past that was finally and irrevocably being left behind. This story, full of emotion and climax, reminds us that in the theater of royalty, silence is sometimes the loudest scream, and true power lies not in the crown one wears, but in the silent, steadfast decisions one makes. How do you feel witnessing the powerful silence of William and Catherine as they protect Diana's memory without public accusation? Do you believe Camilla received a deserved lesson? Or does this story leave you with a touch of regret for her profound loneliness? Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.